So we're here to talk about purpose. And why are we talking about purpose? Well, purpose because it is probably the most fundamental core necessity if you're going to do anything worth doing. And if you're looking specifically in your company to do excellent work. Purpose, you can kind of think of it as it's why we are doing what we are doing. You hear the term mission's been thrown around a lot. Mission, very popular, almost cliche term, right? Purpose, not necessarily a brand new idea. People have been talking about purpose for a long time. But when it comes to an organization and developing that organization and the individuals inside of that organization, I like to think about the idea of purpose. And purpose to me really comes down to a key component in empowering an organization and any individual to do excellent work. And so there's a definition of empowerment that I'm borrowing from Monty Moran. Not sure how to pronounce the guy's last name. He is now the now retired co-CEO of Chipotle. He released a book a few years back called Love is Free, Guac is Extra. It basically outlines his leadership approach and kind of some of the things he did when he was at Chipotle to help them achieve the remarkable results that they achieved. And he talks about empowerment, and his definition is being empowered means feeling confident in your ability and encouraged by your circumstances so that you feel motivated and at liberty to fully devote your talents to a purpose. So all I said, there's a lot inside of that, but the last thing you hear is being able to fully devote your talents to a purpose. How do you fully devote yourself to something if you're not fully aware of what that thing is? So I think for any organization that's looking to live up to its greatest and fullest potential, looking to expand to its full potential, it needs to have a really crystal clear idea of what its purpose is. And then the individuals inside of that organization need to understand that, and they need to know what their purpose is for their role inside of the organization. So I think of it as kind of like it's a piece of a narrative, or even maybe a type of narrative of why we're doing what we're doing, and why is the thing that we're doing worth doing? Why would anyone want to devote themselves to what we're doing? And I think a lot of organizations, leadership, you start this business, you start to grow this business, you're doing good work. And it's not like your team's necessarily entirely disconnected from that. But the real core purpose, the kind of thing that you yourself can be motivated by and that your team can be motivated by, it can become fuzzy, or it can really become about we'll say like the blocking and the tackling, like the technical piece of the work that you do, and the meaningful piece of the work that you do, the reason that we get up in the morning, can kind of be forgotten. So there's a guy named Bill Walsh. You may know of Bill Walsh. He was the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. He was the driving force behind creating the 49ers dynasty. And of course, he credits a lot of his coaches and his players and the owner and so on. But really, when Bill Walsh came in, he made some fundamental shifts in how the organization was led and managed. And there's another book called The Score Takes Care of Itself. It's basically the story of Bill Walsh and how he got to be the head coach of the 49ers and then what he did there. And he talks a lot about the idea of having purpose. And he talks about it a little differently. He talks about the idea of attitudes and beliefs, and that while, yes, you need to be teaching kind of the methods, the processes, like the skills and all those types of things of like, how do you do the work that you're trying to do? How do you play great football? He said you really have to also, as much, if not more, be teaching the attitudes and beliefs, the mindset behind the work that you're doing if you want to really perform excellent work. So Bill Walsh, and to me, that's purpose. Bill Walsh, he didn't necessarily come in. He wanted to win a Super Bowl. I mean, his career was guided towards wanting to win the greatest championship that you can win in that sport, the Super Bowl. But he didn't come in and say, we're going to win a Super Bowl by this time. He said, we're going to become the kind of team that could win a Super Bowl. And if we focus on that, he just felt, and that's the whole idea, the score takes care of itself. He felt that they would inevitably win a Super Bowl. And he even surprised himself when they won it in I think the third season that he was there. They were practically the worst team in the NFL when he got involved, and they go on to win the Super Bowl, and then they win more Super Bowls and become the San Francisco 49ers dynasty. So I think that why purpose? Well, because we want to have meaning in our lives. Why purpose? Well, because if you're ambitious and you want to make something of yourself, or let's say this business that you're operating, you want to perform at the highest level. And I just don't see another way to do that without clearly understanding and embracing your purpose. And I don't see how you can do that without leading your people to do the same exact thing. Other reasons for purpose, because if you don't have a purpose, you're simply floating. If you don't have purpose, you're going to long for a purpose. And if you're not doing the work to really clarify that, that feeling's not going to go away. And that friction and kind of I guess dissonance that it creates is going to get in your way of performance. I think if you don't have purpose or a clear sense of it, I don't think you're going to be as confident. I don't think you're going to trust yourself as much. I think you're less likely to be assertive, and I think you're less likely to take initiative. And these are all things that we know are critical for top performance in a role or in an organization. So, you could suggest that helping someone understand their purpose, being able to name their purpose, and helping them to embrace that purpose means that you are empowering them. And empowerment, another buzzword, right? But if you want empowered people, you need to help them possess their purpose in a very tangible way where they know how that relates to the bigger picture, but also they can see how they can make a difference in the little picture, in whatever the not so little picture, but the specific area where they're doing their work. When done properly, you have a crystal clear and compelling purpose for your organization, and each role inside of your organization has the same focused, clear purpose that supports the purpose of the organization.